Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Colourful Conversation, a podcast about creativity, photography, cinematography, outdoor lifestyle, anything that I find interesting. Today's guest is my girlfriend named Bianca. We're talking about where she found her love for art and her journey through being a creative person and different things that she likes. She recently started an Instagram page called Creative Creations by B, where she's going to make some videos about the stuff that she does. So thanks for checking this out, and here's the episode. So I figured we'd do it about the creative and artistic side of you with the new page being started. Just wanted to go and get some of your thoughts on that, and like, where do you think like your like artistic personality like came from?
I think it was, well, first, it's hard to answer that because I think it didn't come from anywhere. It's just always been there. So I guess it's come from my parents and probably my mom's side, if I had to pick a side, because my mom was kind of the first person to get me into crafts. And at Christmas, my mom would always get me, more me specifically, because I was the girl. So my mom had a knack for being creative. She sews, she can crochet, she likes painting, and she also did artistic gymnastics. So growing up, she really immersed me in that field of creativity. And so then from there, I always got Christmas gifts from those plastic, clear plastic cutouts of butterflies that I used to make window hangings from.
Oh, yeah.
Where they used to be like all different colors, kind of like a church window.
Like stained glass.
Stained glass and friendship bracelets. And then we used to go painting pottery, like my mom and me, because my mom took me to a birthday party when I was 8, and then she came back and I was really stoked on what I had made, and I was like, you know, we should go back, we should do this together. And she was kind of on the fence, didn't really know, and then we actually went, and she was transfixed. She was
What kind of class was
into it. It was a birthday party.
But like, what were you guys making? Was it with like a pottery or like painting?
Yeah, so how it worked was, it's not the traditional sitting on a wheel making your piece from scratch. It's, you go in with a group, you have a certain amount that you're allowed to choose from, and it's a range. And then, for instance, if it's $15 or under, you pick something and it's already been kiln fired once. So it's not terracotta, it's the white clay, which I'm not really sure exactly what it's called, but it's already been dried, and all you have to do is essentially pick your piece and you paint it.
Oh, so there's no formation of it. You just pick it.
Yeah,
okay.
So you go in, you pick your piece, you paint it.
Do you still have it?
And then, I think I do actually, and then the week later, you go back and pick it up.
Oh, because it's like dried and...
Yeah, so they do the second part of the firing. So they do all the firing, and you come back and you kind of cross your fingers and hope that it turned out.
True. And
then you take it home. I think I do still have it somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I think it's in my parents' bedroom, actually. It's a butterfly.
Oh, okay.
Coincidentally. And so my mom and I went back, and we have done it. We've done it together a few times, and I've gone back and created some bigger things.
So you'd recommend it for people?
Yeah, it's a really good way to start, and my mom likes it because it's therapeutic. So
True.
to kind of summarize that question, my creativity kind of came from my mom, and from there it was just a very good way to just spend time with my family, but also do something that we both liked, or my mom, spend time with my mom. And I got good feedback when I was in school. My teachers said, you like this. Not necessarily from a technical standpoint of I'm really good at art technically and I'm talented, but I find passion in just expressing myself. And it's a good way to release stress for me, because growing up I did a lot of sport and I was a gymnast, and so it was a lot of time and effort that you spend doing your craft and mastering that and getting really good at it. And then you had school on top of it. So being creative was an outlet that didn't require 100% of my concentration, and it didn't need to take long periods of time, because you could start a project and then you could finish it 6 months from now and it would still be there. So yeah, it's always been in my life, and throughout my life I've evolved it into more things.
Do you think gymnastics had like a big influence, like with you being even more of an artist? Because you're saying expressing yourself, that's one way. Through our sport, you're the only one up there. You're the one expressing yourself through the routine that you perform. Do you think that had like an influence on like taking art even further and still like running with it?
I
Because
think,
it did for me, for sure.
yeah, I think that's a really good question, because it can overlap quite a bit. But to be honest, I don't think that pushed me to be more creative, because I saw gymnastics as a second job of something that I was there to get really good at, and also the lessons that it taught me too were the most fundamental parts of the sport and doing gymnastics, because I saw it as, you know, I'm going in to make my routines better, I'm going in to learn more skills, and I have the added benefit of having friends at the gym and having people to keep you company while you're doing all these things.
For sure. Those were some of my best friends, because we were together all the time. Like,
exactly.
Suffering together, having fun together.
Yeah, exactly. And just griping and groaning about the coach's mood, or
how you feel, your body hurts.
Yeah, or the conditioning from the other day, and school sucks, and it's a nice, I'm not saying that it was torture all the time, but it's nice to have common ground with people that you can relate to while you're transitioning in these things with just life in general. And you have those people that you're essentially trauma bonded with. I don't want to say that that's always how it is, but I would say with any intense sport, you go through intense things. Like when you're an elite athlete, you feel things to the elite level as well.
It's so good for you though. Like it is. It makes doing a lot of other things in life a lot easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. And because you're bonded with your teammates on that level, it really allows you to not feel shame around things, because you've probably seen the guys that are older than you go through things, even with if it's body changes and girls getting their periods and getting parts of their body that they have never needed, boobs, butt, acne, all of these things that girls experience when they're going through puberty. A lot of girls don't have like a big group of girl friends, because just I can barely imagine going to school when we were young, but going to school now with the age of social media being so prevalent. And I couldn't even imagine the added stress of wanting to look good, wanting to be more developed and look older than you were when you were younger. And that's so much more prevalent in today's generation, where a lot of people look to the internet. And there is positivity in that, and making these taboo or not so talked about topics more normalized. But for a lot of girls in my grade that didn't have a lot of friends, I can imagine that they didn't have a lot of support.
Yeah, they didn't have a team of girls with them.
Yeah, exactly. Because girls that were 2 years older than me, I was hearing about this stuff. And I was hearing about growing up and going through puberty and the struggles that they had. So then I didn't feel as out of place when I got those things to that stage in my life. And that is what gymnastics, I think, was for me the most impactful, is having the team that in December, the girls that I've been with since club, we celebrated our 10-year reunion, where most of the girls, a good group of girls, get together around Christmas, and we all either go to someone's house or we go to a restaurant. But we always have a core group that gets together. So that's how bonded we are, and how we still keep in touch, and those people are important to keep around. So
well, kind of going back to art, what kind of art do you say you like identify with the most? Or like what's some of the stuff that inspires you the most? Stuff you just like really enjoy seeing, like talking about, like sharing, even if it's not yours, kind of thing?
So let's pull that into a couple directions, because there's the first part, which is what interests me, and then how I show that on the internet. Or
well, that, but like what's like, what are you drawn to? Not necessarily to make, but like what inspires you?
So what inspires me, there's lots of things. The biggest thing that I really take from is your everyday life, surrounding yourself, or not even surrounding yourself, just finding beauty in regularity and normal
the mundane,
things,
yeah,
and in the mundane. And one thing that has always been so prevalent, which is one of the topics that really does inspires me, is interior design, and just design in general, because it is something we are literally surrounded by every single day. Unless you live in the jungle, and you don't live, even jungle tribes, they have structures that they live in that protect them from the elements.
Designed in a way.
Exactly. So unless you're not living in a structure, you are surrounded by design everywhere. When you go into the bathroom, when you go to your room to go sleep, when you go to the garage, when you go to the kitchen, there's an element of design in all of those things. And if you go to the office, if you are in nature, that is an element of design too. So that is why design, and especially interior design, which is things you can control, are such a huge inspiration, because those are things you can add to, that you can manipulate, that you can change, and also get a lot of inspiration online with, and use those things as inspiration to help you be creative. And it's really an open canvas, and it's a 3D canvas versus a 2D canvas that you buy and then you start from scratch.
Have you ever seen that documentary on Netflix, the Abstract series? They have one about interior design.
No, I've never seen it.
I showed you that Platon one, that photography one. Yeah. They're all of that, like, nature. They're all so good.
I think that was the next one that was going to pop up, but we didn't watch it.
Oh, true. Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah.
You should check it out. You'd like it.
Yeah. I definitely think I would, and I am not the best with Netflix.
What?
Because I personally like putting something on that I don't have to pay attention to
Oh,
and doing other stuff.
true.
So, yeah, but as for inspiration, one big thing would be design, and then the other, I guess, would be nature.
Mm.
And those definitely overlap. And as you can see, I love plants. And I love bringing nature into design because that's one of the rules of design and a tradition that will never go out of style.
True.
Is nature. And greens and browns and neutrals and bringing elements of nature into your room and how nature is so balanced is something that will always be elegant and will always add elevation to a room.
True.
So that's also something that, you can always go outside and find beauty and balance and symmetry in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so pleasing to the human eye, is because we are nature. We are animals.
Yeah.
We were born originally in nature and we evolved from animals who live in nature, and it impacts how we see the world so much, and definitely including aspects of that into your design and into your creativity is always going to be a positive thing, and it'll make you feel good too.
It's so good for mental state, for
exactly.
sure.
I think having plants in your room and seeing life and being able to grow life and sustain it is just so liberating, and it feels so good waking up to light and to your plants and knowing that they can also be helping your health.
True.
In clarifying the air and adding more oxygen and such to your life, which is more impactful than most people think.
I always, anytime I really don't feel great mentally, especially, I just go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
It helps so much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a weekly occurrence. So yeah, I can see how incorporating plants into living space is very important.
Yeah, which is why I have so many in my room.
What kind of work do you enjoy doing most? Hands-on stuff? You're very crafty in terms of woodworking and cooking as well. Very hands-on and creative with that.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you enjoy most?
Definitely hard to pin down one. But everything that my art consistently makes up is making something. Which means, in opposite, I don't really gravitate too much to painting and 2D, so drawing, painting. I can do it. Simple things are definitely fun, and I've done quite a few paint by numbers because it takes out what I'm bad at, which is the actual drawing part. I can draw...
You think you're bad, jeez.
I can draw pretty basic things.
I can't even do that.
But I'm not an illustrator. I can't create realistic, live-looking things. I can't
Do you
draw
like Jessie's artwork? I think she's got some cool stuff.
I haven't seen much of
True.
it.
We should go to their house sometime. Ask Matt if we can go hang out with Jessie at her place, because their parents' house is really cool. You would like it. The amount of fish tanks they have everywhere, it looks so beautiful, and all kinds of plants, really open space. And then Jessie's room is dope. She's designed it pretty well. It's pretty there's a lot of stuff everywhere, but it's one of those things. It's wow, there's so much to look at. It's really cool, and a lot of pieces she's made too. That's more because she does do design through illustration.
Yeah.
So that's how you see a lot of her stuff, and she doesn't post too much of it, but
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I'm sure it's super innovative and very, very well done. Because Jessie is an art
Yeah, she's some kind of art major.
graphic design, actually. I think.
That's it.
So
That's
that
the
would
word I
make
was looking for.
sense. She would definitely be the expert in that category, and she's going to a very world-renowned school for art as well. So,
I mean,
don't
that
doubt
stuff
it.
though is like seen through that sign that you made for my parents. Like Bailey looks pretty lively. The maple leaf is realer than I've ever imagined. The mine
Yeah.
looks cool. Like even the bike. There was like more details on the bike than I could have like imagined in my own head. Like I just had like a little 2D bike just like going across. You had the brakes, like the gear shifters. Like
yeah, there is a proficiency, but it's not an expert level.
true.
By no means, because it's not as if I'm drawing it from scratch from a bicycle that is in my head.
It was like
It's very much me going on Google and finding a bike
yeah.
and drawing it that way. And even printing out a copy and tracing it.
Well, imitation breeds innovation, so
Yeah,
it's good to do
I
that.
definitely agree with that because there is creativity and simplicity as well. So
Oh, for sure.
it's not rocket science. I'm not there to really stretch my illustration or drawing abilities. It's obviously doing the best I can and being the most accurate and using the best examples of pictures in front of me if I can't obviously trace it, which giving life to something is mainly in the fine details.
Yeah,
the
true.
shading,
True.
the color matching of eyes, and I'm just not good enough to
You're definitely better than most. That's
take
for
up
sure.
a career in art.
You totally could. Are you a proponent of less is more? Do you ever think about that when you're making stuff?
That's a good question. I think it's not a scale. It's
Piece by piece kind of thing?
yeah, it's a 4D approach because you have to concentrate on not just am I adding less or am I adding more or what do I want this to look like? It is more about taking into consideration what the expectations of the receiver, because usually my art is stemmed from a gift or
True.
a project that I'm working on for my parents' house that I'll be flipping one of their pieces of furniture, and it's not necessarily a how much do I want to put into it, it's what is the desired look from my audience.
So would you say you make stuff more for other people than for yourself?
100%. Yeah, because at the end of the day, no one's perfect. We are naturally lazy people. Just people in general. Like, people are naturally lazy unless really sparked to have a sense of urgency and to do something. And I would say that a gift, which has a due date,
Yeah.
usually, if it's a birthday or Christmas or Easter, it has someone else's happiness or reaction, which is one thing. No matter how many people can say that they're terrible gifters or they don't care, everyone wants a reaction when they give a gift.
True.
And that is a factor. And then also, it's cheaper. Yes, usually making a gift is cheaper. Sometimes not. Crafting is expensive.
It's very
Materials
time consuming too,
are
especially.
expensive. And also it's time consuming. So you may or may not be spending less money on something, but you are making up in the amount of time, which we have talked about before. And there is an element of going above and beyond for that person. and creating something based on what you know about them, which usually is a lot. If you're making someone a handmade gift, you usually know quite a bit about them. And if that person is a handmade gift kind of person, that is also going to factor in of how much time and effort you put into it. Because if someone is more interested and takes more value in getting a gift card or something of monetary value and less so a handmade gift, then I'm not even going to consider making something for them.
True.
I'm just going to go and buy something that they like. It's quicker, they'll like it better, and I'm not going to let myself down of doing all of these things, putting the time in, putting the effort in, going above and beyond, and looking for a reaction, and that reaction's never going to come.
True.
And if it's missing that even one aspect, then it really influences your decision on if you're going to make something or not.
Okay, so with creative creations, do you think that's something, part of the reason why you want to be doing that is to be making stuff for yourself, stuff that you like? Because it's not necessarily you're making something for someone. Like doing the tie-dye, that's pretty much all for you, especially the video. I mean, it is something like, I think about that too with work that I make, where it's like, I love taking pictures of anything and everything. And most of the time I do it because I want to. And then there's the element of like sharing that on social media. Whether that's like the reels that I make or even the photos. The photos don't really give people anything. It's just like something to look at. Whereas the videos, sometimes you can like give information and knowledge through it. Or like share experience kind of thing. So with creative creations, is that something it's like you're doing it for you to start, you know?
Going back to creativity being in my family and essentially in my bones, I've gone through my whole life creating things and making gifts for people. And the main reason behind the page would be to really showcase what I've done up to this point and show people a little bit more into me as a person, because everyone has a normal page. Everyone has a page about themselves. And that is a page to show people what you look like, who's in your life, track growth and life events, and not even professional and career. It's just really personal and a glimpse and snapshot of what's going on in your life. Whereas I want this profile to more so emanate who I am as a person and what really matters. And so that's where the creativity comes in. And that's why I created the page. And the page is faceless right now because it doesn't really matter what you look like, what I look like, or what anyone looks like on their page, unless that is something that your page is based off of. You know, makeup professionals can't really do makeup on anyone but themselves, except if they're a makeup artist, and then they show their finished product of the person that they're working on. So the purpose of the page is really just to show what I'm doing because I love it and I'm really passionate about it. And hopefully someone who is following on my page can say, this girl does creative things and she stretches her creative comfort zone, and I want to follow her because maybe I can do the same thing, and I want to post easy enough projects that anyone can do them. And all you need is the baseline and template, and then you can go from there and do it however you want to design it. Because, for instance, the sign, so giving your parents a wooden welcome sign to carry with them when they're traveling and going camping in the RV, and that they can put outside and can stand by itself. The reason behind that was, you know, they like it. They'll, at least I hope they did.
Yeah, they did. They did. You saw the reaction.
Yeah, and they can use it, and it's...
Okay, the sign. You're talking about the sign.
Yeah,
showing people how it's done. And I was going to say, like, it's neat how, like, you've got years and years of projects, and, like, a lot of new ones especially that you can show off. And, like, you have, like, a portfolio of art already ready to talk about and, like, show.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not starting from scratch. Like, you have all these things, like, backlogs, essentially, of, like, things you can talk about. And then all the future stuff.
Yeah. That's one thing that I can start with and create a bank of new projects to post, because I do have so much that I have created, and although they're already done, they're finished products, they're still around, and there's lots of things that you can say as well to get people on their feet, get people inspired, and just get people out of their day-to-day. Because we look at so many, you know, underlying messages. There's so much content crossing our paths every day. And the only thing that I would hope to do is inspire someone to get creative, get outside their comfort zone a little bit, but they don't even have to, because it's not like we're drawing Picasso and we're drawing, you know, a live looking cat, and one person is going to look at that and say, that's so beautiful. I could never do that. And they will scroll to the next page. And so encouraging people just to get outside of their regular rhythms, bring positivity to people's reels and to people's Instagram pages, and add an element of humility and transparency and honesty, because everyone needs that in their life, a little bit of getting outside your comfort zone and being creative, or if creativity is not part of your normal daily routine, it is. I think it's a different way of thinking about it, which we can go through as well, but it's really just doing things that are outside your comfort zone. They're hard. They suck. Obviously,
not always.
I'm not always inspired. It's like being a writer and having writer's block of, this is a project and I don't even know what I've got myself into, and I don't know how to finish it, and so I'm just quitting. And that's happened to me. I've said, you know, this is not going in the direction that I thought it was going to be, or it's a lot harder, and there is an element of sacrifice, because you have to sacrifice your pride and go ask for help, which is totally fine. And
the internet does a great job at helping.
Exactly. The internet does a great job of helping, and in this case, my phone a friend is mom or dad, and mom and dad have gotten very good at helping me solve problems, and the internet. So,
like, with that too, like, for people just starting out, like, art is so subjective anyways.
Yeah.
So, like, you're saying, like, oh, you're not a Picasso, but, like, still start kind of thing. There's, like, these cave paintings they found in France that are, like, thousands of years old of these animals, and they look incredible. So it's, like, these people that had, like, no background in art, didn't, like, that probably wasn't even a word then, you know? They didn't really have anything to describe something like that. And they're creating these beautiful pieces, you know? That, like, it's all subjective anyways. So it's, like, just start, because you never know. It could. It's like the fun that you have in it that's, like, more important than trying to make something that's good. It's like, just have fun doing it, because it's probably going to end up pretty good anyways.
Exactly. You know? And to bridge off of the last point, when I mentioned how you think about creativity. It's not just a project that you start and don't finish or whatever you do with that. It's really a shift of perspective on how you see the world. And if you think that being artistic is being able to draw a mural on a wall, then that's your view of being creative and artistic. If your view of someone who is an artist is a figure skater, and dance is their art, or being a painter, or being an interior designer, if that's one person's view of an artist, then that's their view. For me, I see the world as endless opportunities to be creative, and there's creativity in almost everything that you do, because it's not just being good at one specific thing. It's about having a mindset and applying it to everything you do.
For sure.
So in my job, I work in sales, and sometimes your job is ambiguous on what you have to do, but the goal is always the same. Make sure you're there for your customers and make sure they're happy. And so some of the problems, you have to be creative, and you don't know the answer or the path to get to the answer. So you really have to use the knowledge that you've got and be creative in who you reach out to and how you essentially get to the root cause or find the answer. And that can be applied to so many different jobs or processes in life.
Just so many tasks, like how you make your bed. Like people can make their bed in a super creative way. And it's just, or like, just different. You know, it's like a frame of mind. You're just like, I'm trying to look at this from a different perspective to figure it out.
For sure. And like babies, we start from knowing nothing. And we go every day learning something new, growing, and that never really stops. Because, yes, our brain stops developing after 25, which is debatable. But we transition into new selves every 7 years. Like every single cell in your body turns over after 7 years.
So you're a different person each day.
So you're literally biologically a different person, because every single part of your body has turned over, some more than once. But knowing that puts things into perspective of all of these things that I think I am, and the preconceived notions of what people have told you growing up, and how your perspective has been shaped based on your experiences are so impactful onto how you think about them. And being creative is just one of those things that if you were told that, oh, you're not creative, then your scope of creativity might have gotten very small over the years.
True.
And pigeonholed into one certain thing. Whereas it's really
everything.
It's really, the small part is yourself, which you are looking into the world, and you should have that lens of creativity over yourself and have that across how you see the world.
Yeah, it was like that video I showed you of that dog where his like skin was kind of covering his eyes, and then the owner lifts his skin up and he's like looking like, oh my god, this is the world.
The windows.
Yeah, it just got way wider.
We opened the blinds. What the heck?
I've never seen so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what like creative thinking can do for you. You're just like, whoa, there's like endless possibilities to do like this one thing.
Yeah. And all it takes is a little bit of validation or consistent exposure to your thought of creativity to, okay, from we feel that we're not creative but interested.
True.
And tomorrow I'm gonna watch 10 reels, or my phone is gonna listen to me and start coming up with different ads that are creative based, and I'm gonna get a few Michael's emails now and then I'm gonna get to a stage where I feel a little bit more comfortable, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I could do this. Because it went from no way to, I'm interested and maybe I can do this. And then I see a reel that's right up my alley. And now I feel that is the project that I can do. That is so easy. That is so simple. It doesn't require any creative skills.
Just the video editing now. That's the new thing for you.
For me, that is the next phase of my evolution of creativity.
Learning that. You'll figure it out real quick.
But for someone who doesn't think they're creative and who has been reinforced that for their entire life, they're coming at this of I'm not creative. And if they have the one video that says, I can be creative and I am going to start with something so simple and I've got that one thing. And dyeing a shirt, the only thing that it requires is access to hot water, dye, and you have to be able to read.
True. I'd probably screw it up.
That, you can dye something. Oh,
what happened with the coffee dye staining? I guess that's different with the backpack, but with the shirt.
The coffee dye staining...
Oh, actually, you did do it. It just looked really patchy, eh?
It did look darker, but I think it's more aimed at a white object.
True.
But because I was staining something that was already colored, that was my downfall.
True. Well, maybe it'll be a darker color now because of it.
100%. I'm hoping it's going to be brown.
Yeah, true. Okay, well, let's try and keep this under 45 minutes. I'm going to pick like one last kind of outro for it. So what do you think is like your biggest goal with the page? Or like moving forward as an artist? Is it just keep doing what you're doing, keep learning, keep making stuff, keep inspiring other people, making your gift receivers happy?
My gift receivers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that two ways. And the first part would be, what is the goal for my page? And then I'm going to end with, what's the goal for myself personally? So the first part is, what is the goal for my page? And I think those goals and purposes are still evolving themselves. And at this point, the goal would be really to reach as many people as possible, add some positivity to someone's day, and share what makes me happy. If I get one follower, I'm happy, because for me, it's not about the followers. It's about having a platform to share what I'm passionate about and to have somewhere to share more about myself. There are so many things that we do on a daily basis, and in today's world, we are alone so much, and that's, it is normal. We spend a lot of time with our own thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts can become a lot. And for me, this page is an extension of my creativity. I'm a little sarcastic, a little quirky, a little crazy. I like to do many things, and that's what I want to show on the page, because it helps me feel more grounded on the thoughts in my head. And if I'm able to let them out and let them be free, it is an element of release as well, to get something off your chest and get your ideas into the world so that they don't have to live and just marinate in your head. So that's one of the goals, but also it's one of my goals too, because I'm a consistent overthinker, and I don't want to necessarily overthink, and I want to scratch my creative itch. And it's not based on followers, it's not based on going viral. It's really just to connect with myself and share what I'm producing, because it is a huge part of who I am. And I want to share more of who I am to the world. So that's the first part. The second part is myself. What do I want to do with my creativity and grow that, which is exactly what I want to do, is I want to grow. The goal's always been the same. Bottom line is to be myself and do things and projects that make me happy. Creativity and projects that are making things are definitely my favorite. And it's really just growing at this point. Growing and stretching the bounds of your creative comfort line and getting outside of that, jumping over that line and getting outside of the comfort zone into doing new things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not tied down to one thing. And I think in the creative world, it's heavily warned against to do many things. The motivation is to pick one thing, get really good at it, and then do that one thing. But putting all your eggs in one basket's not always positive. And if you love something, yeah, you can do that, but you don't have to love only one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can love many things. And so that's why I do it, is I'm learning so much. I'm getting close to my family because they help. It's not just me doing all these things. I'm not great with a saw. There's something about cutting off a hand or a limb that is just so, it turns me off. So I do use my family's help, and it is a way for me to bond with them and feel satisfied that I'm learning something. I am gaining a new skill, and I spent my time doing something that I enjoyed. And so it'll always be the reason as to why I create.
Cool. Well, I think it's interesting how your page is called Creative Creations, and this podcast
Crafty
is
Creations.
Crafty. I thought it was creative.
No.
What? Oh my God. Well, it's double C. This is Colorful Conversation, so hope that was colorful for some people. This is not the last episode we'll do together, but I think that'll wrap it up for today. Let's go make some food.
Peace.